Hello to everybody. I'm Snežana Milenković, psychologist, psychotherapist, and university professor. I'm going to present forgiveness and gratitude, a way to mindful living. And I'm going to start with something about human potential, what is the main important to tell at the first, about spiritual growth, about psychological growth, social growth, as well as our transformation of consciousness, of inner feelings, of one existence, as well as the release of the individual from all kind of conditioning imposed by the society. It is characterized by transformation, self-transcendence, and expanded consciousness, in which treatment is targeted primarily to the spiritual dimension. This is one of the way the unfolding from the body in mind to spirit. So I want to say what I think it's very, very important, that we are creators, not creatures. It means that we are just called to create our life. It is our nature to be creative, but somehow it happens that we are by many programs we got from our childhood till 7 years old. We are just scripted, or we had a program which is mostly 95% negative, and it means that we are just doing all the time the same, and we cannot be creative because we are at the same time blocked. We have blockage. Just mental blockage are all our mechanism of defenses, and body blockages are just our body armor. It means that our energy is bounded, and we couldn't be creative. Our creativeness is connected with our consciousness, with our conscious mind, but our program are connected with our subconscious mind. So if we are so programmed to live just not creatively, not consciously, it means that we had a bad luck at the end. We are repeating what Freud called repetitia compulsia, or Eric Berne, just founder of TA, transactional analysis, called the script scenario. So what we want to do, just to overcome our blockages, just to unbound our blocked energy, just to open, not to be closed, because when we are in a program, we are closed and all our energy are blocked. So it is a story about the possibility how to again start to be creative, to be conscious, and to be mindful. That's a second part of my presentation about our mindful life. But before that, I'm just going to talk about forgiveness and gratitude, which is very important to say something about it before. But I will make some digression about the modality, a school I am going just from, and its name, Integrative Art Psychotherapy. I am practicing that Integrative Art Psychotherapy for 4 decades. Just I have many years of practice, many years of theories, and many years of education of others, mostly my students, and I'm very happy to present you something about our school. After that I will give some examples, and then I will tell something about forgiveness and gratitude. Now I will present what does it mean integrative art psychotherapy. It is just not only integrative, because I'm not using about 10 modalities, psychotherapeutic modalities or schools, but many techniques, methods. It's integrative, what we mean when we talk about integrative psychotherapy. However, I want to say that it is integral psychotherapy. We are working on 3 levels: intrapersonal, interpersonal, and transpersonal, as well as we are working with body, mind, and spirit. So even we are combining many theories and methods, techniques. We are just working holistically. And as Ken Wilber called his theory integral theory, I also can call integral psychotherapy. So it is a new name I found in the name of a book of Marquise, 2018, Integral Psychotherapy. However, he said at somewhere in the book that it is possible to combine, to being all-inclusive, considering theories and the methods and the techniques, but in practice, how to do it. And I was astonished, because we do just in the practice what is in the theory, and just using all what is, I can say, the best in the different modalities and different schools, and using the different methods, techniques. So I found my way to just put together what is internal and external, what is intuitive, what is rational, what is verbal, what is non-verbal, what is the left hemisphere and right hemisphere. So we are the whole person, and holistic means whole person to be engaged in psychotherapeutic process. So about integrative art psychotherapy is psychotherapy which use creative media, just to be open to all kind of people who are not good in English or in language we are speaking. Also children who does not speak, as well as some people who have problems in speaking, and I can say we can work with everybody. No matter what kind of disease or disorder and how old is somebody's. I had the last client was 8 years old, and that lady just changed her life completely. Now she is 85, and she is happy, as she stated. Every day she realized all her dreams, and she is realizing all her dreams every day. She has no dreams anymore. But before that, she was depressed. She had Hashimoto syndrome, and her partner committed suicide, and it was disaster. I can say her life was disaster. So if somebody who is 8 years old could change herself in that case, so why not we? We are younger. It depends how old we are, but we are not never old enough to be changed. And the chance is to start now. So neurosciences just give us support that we can do whatever we want. But it's important not only to want and to wish, because it's only 5% of our capabilities, but to start doing practice every day, and to live in now, because in the past we can lament it about past and be depressive, or we can just fear about the future, which will never happen, and just be anxious. Only when we are here and now we can be in present, we can be conscious, and we can start to be creative. And it's good to continue from day to day, every day. So our school is just important. What is differencia specifica? It's how we use a picture, how we use image. The image is very important because it is a mediator between conscious mind and subconscious mind. It is a kind of intervention changeable, variable, and what is inside, what is in darkness we can't see anything, we put outside. How we put outside? We use all creative materials. I like to do the drawings, paintings, because we can make evaluation at the end of the therapy, so we can see from the beginning where the person is. That is a diagnostic function the image or picture has, and we can see more than we can listen and know about the person from the words. We can see the picture, and I will show in the example which follows. Second function of the image or picture is just prognosis. When we finish one part of therapy, or we are at the end of therapy, we can see about what that person, what we can expect in the future, what could happen, or just what is the next step if the person is want more and want to go further. A third function is communication or communicative function. It means that we can just communicate not by words, but for instance, I remember one case then that young guy who didn't talk, and how to do with somebody who doesn't want to talk. But he tried to start university, and it was collapsed because his mother and was against it, and he dropped and couldn't just start going there. And I suggested my educant to start therapy with him, to ask him to teach her. To teach her what he the most of all likes. And he most of all liked history. And he started to taught her without any problem. He started to talk about different, and he likes geography as well, different countries, different people, and at the end he was just somebody who was, to use that strange word, normal. Somebody who started to talk, somebody who started to think about the future, somebody who started to work, etc. So there is no problem in psychotherapy. We can invent, we can create if we are as just psychotherapists enough creative just to create a way how to approach our client. So it is a fantastic way in integrative art psychotherapy because psychotherapists are just asked to be as much creative as they can. However, they have to work on themselves, not to have blockages, not to have some spots, blind spots, to be able not to project material to their clients, but to be open, to be present 100%. And that is a condition to be authentic and to be spontaneous and to be open, because psychotherapy is a bridge with two ends, open bridge, and if we start to communicate out of any program, out of any theory, out of everything we have learned, we are able to make really authentic contact with our clients. So what I want to stress and think that is most important, we use image and picture as a way of doing psychotherapy. How is it possible to do something like that? We just, for instance, we ask somebody who is coming to psychotherapy just to draw how he or she feels today. And we have some drawings and we start to talk about what somebody express on the paper, and then follow the process of changing picture. We are doing psychotherapy, but we are checking out all the time how the drawing or picture is changing, because at the end picture is completely different, and we are just without words we could be sure that that person is changed enough, and we can of course verbally can prove that we are at the end of the therapy, the therapeutic goal is finished, we succeeded in what we were doing, so we can be only satisfied and happy about results. So I think that could be all for the beginning about telling you about integrative art psychotherapy, and I want to just change you some examples that would be more interesting for you, because I'm just producing many more and more words, and it's a way and a time to stop and to show you results, some examples. So let's start with the examples I promised. First is very, very indicative. A lady, 40 years, about 40 years old. She was not successful in any domain of her life, and she lost the job, had the problems with people in the family, and she was stuck. And what is the main starting picture she produced? She is a painter, by the way. Was hair as caryatid, just wearing on the hair legs the whole world, burden of whole world. So it is a very, very, very terrible position for somebody who want to move, who want to grow up, to do many fantastic things. She is a very talented painter, and of course it is a problem how to live with like a caryatid. After that we are working, and I will not describe our way of working because I can say a few words. We start with just diagnosis. She is caryatid. What and how to make caryatid alive. Just starting with something she likes, just to give her a chance to move, to do something what is not standing still and having a burden on her back. And just doing some I call shadow work. Ken Wilber also called shadow work. It means we are digging deeper and deeper, not staying on intellectual or cognitive level, but just going deeper and be connected with emotions, which are in the belly, which is just suppressed, and we have no idea what is inside. But for me, body work is very important in making that connection, and to make connections with our inner child and suffering, all kind of sufferings, and our just adult who can understand reality, and to make a link from the stomach, from the belly, to the just our adult person who is grown up and can understand And for instance, if we have separation anxiety and we are afraid to be left by somebody, by mommy, by daddy, it's disaster. If I stay alone, I will die. So there is no possible to survive. However, when we are adult, if our lover, husband, wife, whoever leave us, we are lost. And we feel like a child. So we did a lot of shadow work, just was very important for her to resolve. And it means to go deeper, to experience that deep emotions, because body keeps the score, and then to release that emotions and to connect with grown-ups, grown-up level of our mind. I mean, our adult is connected with reality and with something what is happening here and now. It's very important to make that kind of integration. So the next picture, what she was producing is flowering. If you see carefully, you can see a flower. But what kind of flower is it? It is a crystal flower. It means very sharp edges, and it is not soft. It is not without smell. It is just something what can be some dangerous, because that sharp edges can be painful. It's more crystal, more something what is not the flower, but however she just called it flowering. And the next at the end she drew, when we finish first part of her therapy, because she stopped from some existential reasons, some other not because of therapy. She just produced a picture of a little tiny creature which is supported with two hands, and just she is starting to open herself to the world, trusting that nobody can hurt her. She was very much hurted in the past, so she was opening and just being fragile, show her fragile side to us, and starts to be in contact with herself, with her feelings, and the world around her. So we see the move from the caryatid to that third picture at the end of therapy, not final end, but some kind of end. Then she started not to be closed, but to be more and more open. Now we are going to present the second case. It is also a designer, he's designer, professor of design, and about 40. It's all about 40. And he started his therapy. Very funny diagnosis from his drawing. It's a very small little somebody, child I can say, and that child is just angry, very very angry, and is telling somebody very nasty, I suppose. However, you can see the big foot and big leg. So if you imagine yourself just telling somebody something, but that somebody is very high, that somebody cannot hear you, and it's really helpless situation for that person, and at the same time impossible to be heard. And he had a problem with authority, and it is a starting position. Then he realized, of course, that his father or somebody in that role is not approachable. And we started to do psychotherapy, and I will give you the end result. He didn't draw or paint. He chose a picture of the Zorba the Greek, and he wanted to represent how he feels at the end of therapy, just dancing and singing Zorba, full of energy and full of life. Now it follows the third case. It's about a woman, 30 and more years old, a university professor, and she was suicidal and had a lot of problems. And she started presenting herself in the picture as a deserted island in the ocean. And after that, she drew his aggressive father and depressive mother. After that, she just presenting her family situation, draw what we call the double bind. She is with a chain connected with her mother. She wants to just release that bondage, but however, at the same time, she wants to be with her mother. And we have a picture of therapist with a big red heart and a hand who is just touch her head and kind of support, just to be with her, not to be left alone. And that's the way I mentioned before that psychotherapist could be the third parent. We just started in relations with our parents or people who were in the role of parenting us, and we just have to repeat some kind of healthy relations with psychotherapists, just to repair some deficits from our upbringings and our development. And it's important to know, and we can see it in her drawings. Every drawing with a red heart is therapist, and it's very visible and very important to translate that connection. So we can say that first is the beginning of therapy, and the first question in therapy she put to herself is why I just crossed my inner child, why I'm living in such a world and without myself, without my core being, my core self, inner child. And we can follow some insights, continuation of insights she got. Her negative attitudes to herself, others, and life in general. You can follow the pictures. I will not go into details. Then appearance during the time. It is only just the evaluation of her going through therapy, the process of therapy. So sometimes in the process, she draw the picture of appearance of hope, light in the dark, flowers, a positive hint, and a red heart as well. Red heart is always present because when we are going further, we are with one leg on the ground and we other in the air, because we want to make a move, but we are very afraid, and we need somebody to give us a hand to feel safe, to know that that hand is for us, that somebody is just friendly looking at us, maybe first one who see us what we are in reality. And the next pictures are first decision. It's very normal after first questions, after first insights. We came to the first decisions. And the first decisions, I am turning my back to the past, focus on the future. Left picture, stepping in the future, leaving the past behind. Right picture. So we see how she is moving to something what is a new life for her. And very touching picture, next one, is image 9, discovering beauty, enjoyment, a new me and a new life for myself. It is a swan. So gentle being, sketchy, not in details, but a sketch of swan, but very tiny, very gentle, very, very lovely, I can say. The next image, number 10, acceptance of the new world. It's not enough to just appear in that new world. It's we are scared if we are alone. But she put herself in the arm of the therapist. So, beautiful, gentle and compassionate world and a new self ready to accept and support everything within. So, therapist is holding that gentle swan, and she feels great, safe at the same time, and ready to make a new move. Number 11 is meeting love. When she felt safe, she could just go into reality, and suddenly she found a boyfriend and somebody to make love relationship. And it is image number 11, meeting love. At the end, I will just shorten because it was many pictures. At the end happened undivided realities. It is a mindful way of living. What does it mean? Deeper insights into mental and spiritual spheres of mindful life, realization, their interconnectedness. We see the river, we see trees, and we see reflections of trees in the water. It is a calm, it is a very nice, stable, and nature is always cooperative. It's always natural, really, and there is no fight. Only like in the world we are living in, there is no turmoil, but something what is very healthy. And when we stop being in connection with nature, with other beings, with the world, with ourselves, we are in a problem. So the last picture of her is a mindful way of living, when we are connected and interconnected, when we are in peaceful state of mind, when we have a self-compassion and compassion and all feelings. I'm coming to say more about it through the table. I just put different level, from physical body level to psychological and spiritual. Spirituality is very important in our story, in my telling. So I just came to the main topic about transformation of the basic feelings at 3 levels: bodily, psychological, spiritual. I was written about 2002, 2006, I maybe in the last century, but I couldn't find the first article. We have 3 levels, physical, psychical, and psychological and spiritual. And we have basic emotions: anger, sorrow, fear, and joy. At the physical level, bodily level, when we are angry, we can attack somebody, other person. If we are in a sorrow, we are withdrawn. When we are in fear, we flight. When we feel joy, we approach and want to be approached. Physical level, we share with animals, so we are not different at this level. On psychological level, when we feel anger, we have demand for change. For instance, if I'm irritating with your agitation, for instance, if you do something like that, I will say, stop doing that. It irritates me. If you are in a sorrow, you will demand consolation. Just somebody to come to say something, some calming words, or just to hug you, and what is the usual you can see every day. When you feel fear, demand is for protection, calming. Also, it's important the contact and the physical contact primarily. When you feel joy, there is demand for participation. However, at spiritual level, we can say that we are different from animals, from the rest of the world. We are just could be free, and that level is very, very important for our development, our evolving self, as Robert Keegan, who is just a professor of development, but development of older people, not just development we use to think when we think about a child and its development. On spiritual level, we have acceptance of limitations of others through forgiving them. When we feel anger, so we have to accept limitations, their limitation. It means if we are disappointed in our partner, who is our partner? Very often is a replica of our father, for instance, and he disappointed us because he was not a prince on the white horse, and it's important to forgive him, not to fulfill our expectations. When we expect something from somebody, we are in a trap, because that person is not here just living his life for himself or for herself, not to fulfill our wishes. But usually the situation is different. So accepting limitations of others, we are forgiving the others, and we can only then feel compassion. It means compassion, feeling that we are just stepping out of our position, egoistic or selfish, and just taking in account the other person. So we have in the Bible, love others like yourself. So we first task is to love ourselves and to know ourselves, and then to step. The next step is to love the other, our neighbors. But it happens not yet, Nietzsche said. So I believe that it's the case. Considering sorrow on spiritual level, we have acceptance of human situation. Our mortality, decay, just we are going old and the death is coming near to us. So to forgive the world, to forgive world means to accept and be peaceful in a peaceful state of mind. We accept and be in peace with ourselves, with the situation, what we can see around us and about life. Considering fear on the spiritual level, we have acceptance of our own limitations through forgiving ourselves for own imperfections and mistakes. It could be authentic guilt or self-compassion. It means not to be so cruel to us when we made the mistake, but to say, oh well, I'll be better next time. I will not beat myself because I just did something usually not so important, but we did something, forget something, keys, and say, oh, how I'm full every time I do the same. So I'm so big fool, and we just do very, very nasty things to the dust and promote our situation of being not perfect. But Dalai Lama said, be perfect 75%. And it means, in translation, be perfect. It means be good as you can. You do the best you can, not more. So about the joy, it is also on a spiritual level, acceptance of good in self and others through gratitude. And we are lacking in gratitude. Why? Melanie Klein, object relation psychotherapist, very much wrote about the first year of life and the bad and good objects which need to be connected, to be integrated, to have a whole. It's important for us to be a whole. It means that we can only then tolerate bad something if we have more good objects, more good experiences inside of us. So toleration could be possible. However, here in at the place we are living now, we nurture splitting. It means we divided good and bad, and usually we are very good, but somebody else is very bad. So we put finger and said, oh, what are you doing to me? Nasty thing. So we don't realize that we are participants in the same project, not only victim. We feel like a victim, but we are just participant. So I can finish with that table and also connected with the title of my presentation, that we need to go further. We need to be spiritual, not necessarily religious, and we have some inspirer like Abraham Maslow, who spoke of human meta needs of experiencing real feelings in contact with higher creative self and transcending ordinary reality and experiences a mystical state of mind. Later, or not later, but Carl Gustav Jung as well, Stanislav Grof, Roberto Assagioli, Ken Wilber, Adrian Van Kamp, Peter Russell. It is also associated with Eastern philosophy and psychology. Unlike them, however, the spiritual psychology and psychotherapy, which I foresee in the future, should be less mystical and more ecstatic in their advancement to the other through the act of love, empathy, and compassion. I just think that the psychotherapist, it's not necessary to be empathic, to understand us, to accept us. It's necessary to be inspiring. And our roots are in the future. So it means that we need some incentive, just something which just attract us to go further. Not, it's not enough to dig through in the past. We shall stay in the past. Or to stay only in the present, it's okay, but we need some projection in future to be attracted to go further, just to have some incentive to go further. And what I want to say about the third spiritual level is really possible to achieve on that level balance and the peace, as well as unreserved, unconditional acceptance and love, about which religion and spiritual teacher of the East and of the West have been talking since forever. Similar ideas we can find in the representatives, as I said, of humanistic psychology and psychologists and psychotherapists. So I will finish my presentation in something I think I like. It is a Basho haiku poem about an old pond in silence, and the frog jumps into water, slaps, and the old pond in silence is left. So what we can conclude that before we make a noise or music, it could be our life. There is a silence before and after. So what we are going to create, just noisy sounds or music, it depends on us. So I will just start the beginning with beginning words. We are creators. So let us create our life to be, not to say paradise. Paradise is connected with hell, but to create a good enough place to live, to be with other beings and rest sentient beings on this planet. It's our survival task, not only for pleasure. So thank you for your patience and see you in the future.